Hey, Jeff, can you hear me? She's whether she's coming.
I can. I'm having technical difficulties though with my TV.
Oh, okay.
Are you said okay?
With the change password, I'm having difficulties here. Hey, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Amanda? I can't hear you.
Test, test. Can you hear me now?
Hey, Cindy.
Hey, Sherry.
Can you hear me, Jeff? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes, I can hear you. Sorry. I can't see. I know.
Okay.
The screen's not working, like our camera's not working, so
I can see you, Nana. The camera's
So
working on your
I
computer.
can't see anybody.
I could hear y'all a while ago. I heard you say, Cindy, good morning.
I'm a friend. The dog just-
And I can see y'all.
Anything, are we gonna be able to?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, 92.
Okay, we're good.
All right.
Thank you.
Welcome. Bye.
I just paid 2.5 out or 3.
Amanda,
Yes.
are we gonna be able to see what's on the screen? We can't see anything. Should I get back out, back in?
Do you see your teams? There's nothing being shared right now.
No, all I see is the names. I don't see any screens, nobody's faces.
You should see me, you, and Jeff McLaurin.
No, I do not. I just
Is it
see a
on your
blue-
computer
Send out there.
screen?
And they want,
No.
what, 3 of yours?
Mhm,
Say, well, you got a choice. You can either have 2 or 2.5. What do you want?
mhm.
There
Should I
is-
leave and
What
go back
There is
computer-
in?
nothing else. You can either
No,
have
go
2.5.
check and
or
see
less.
how you're.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm just saying.
There
this
should
is
be a
all-
team somewhere on your open, and you should see us.
Should be a what?
There should be either in your web browser or Teams, the app open, and you slide that to your screen.
Oh,
Bright and early.
Right, but.
yeah, you're pretty sharp. You're as sharp as a model. I don't care what anybody says.
I don't see them.
What computer are you on?
I'm on the one that's in the conference room.
So you're not,
Somebody told me something the other day. They said,
it's not one I can
Yeah, that
email
guy
or
is
send a
right. I
link
said,
to remote in to.
no, he's a little different. He said, he's about 2 cans short of a six pack.
This one is like so old, it probably wouldn't come from next week.
Here's the example of our new,
Um,
I only printed 5 of these, but so what we're going over today is the new Recad disclosure. And then the,
cause I see, like I said, I see people logging in, but I don't see any faces. Let me log out and log back in.
Speakers.
see the Recad disclosure.
Yeah, his is even later.
David, FYI, I have no screen, no camera for you. Your camera's on your computer, not on your agent's, correct? And same with Jeff. I'll not see who's in the room.
Oh,
David Lane just texted asking if a link will be sent.
what are you gonna tell her? Check the 7 texts and 8 messages and. Amanda, can you hear me?
I can hear you. You're very faint
Okay.
though.
Won't be a problem. So, I know, I hate to get people to sign things before.
Yeah, that's why I get it ahead of time. There we go.
Yeah.
You can see us now.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh. Jeff, Stephanie Pritchett's having an issue getting on. I'm actually fixing to text it to her. Thank you, Jeff. I can now see everybody in your room.
Amanda, you look Eastery.
Maybe she could get a larger little part-time job. It's we need it.
Velatory internal, baby.
Internal, yes. Come on in.
Have something for you.
Okay. Is it made out to me?
That'd be nice.
Yes, it would.
Okay.
Where do
Okay.
Earnest money deposit.
Cool.
Put it in there.
Yeah,
Made out to Bellator.
very good. It's New Market 2025.
Oh, man, that's what it is.
New Market, capital NEW, capital M, Market 2020, 2025, pound sign.
Did yourself. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Seen that one once.
Beef rice.
Amanda, did you need me?
You were working last night.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Woo.
I just want to see that food. You're muted, so I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. I'll take a picture and send it to you.
I see you. Can y'all hear me in Mobile? You can just give me a thumbs up. Okay. Yay, Stephanie, you made it. Good morning, just making sure everybody's speakers are working. Y'all can hear me. I'm not gonna be the one talking, but just want to make sure everybody can hear. Got your thumbs up, Brittany. Got your thumbs up, Orange Peach. I'm just going to continue saying this as people are coming on. So, got you, Stephanie. I got Gulf Shores. Good morning, Fairhope team. CR jumping on. Good morning, Sarah Bradley.
Good morning.
Got your thumbs up, Chris. Good morning, Milton.
Good morning.
Good morning, Miss Anita.
Good morning.
Morning, Mike Cam.
Good morning.
You got the whole team?
Absolutely not.
Good morning, Lauren Korb.
What? Do it. Wait, can I talk? Can I talk? Can I talk?
I think so. Hang on.
Good morning again, Forrest. Good morning, Kate. Good morning, Fran.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good.
Am I on? I can't see myself. Well, I can see myself in the bottom of the screen, but I see a bunch of other people.
Yep, you're on. You're good. Good morning, Trisha.
Good morning. I don't see her though. I don't see.
Good morning.
You have to put your camera on or your video on.
Oh,
We're asking if we can, because that way sometimes people might pop in with a phone number, or I've seen it where
Where's
people
Trisha?
come
oh,
on
I
with
see me now.
kids' names. So that way I make sure we get ahead or get our attendance correctly.
Are you on, Tanya?
Morning, Shelley. Good morning, Tracy. Good morning, Stacy.
Good morning. I'm driving, so got my camera off.
Okay.
Hey, Amanda, Tanya Van Kirk is actively trying to get on.
Okay. We got about 6 more minutes, so she's still good.
She's saying what is saying invalid? When she clicks on the link, it's saying it's invalid.
Good morning, Daniel.
She's saying that every time she clicks on the meeting link, it's saying it's invalid.
All right.
Amanda,
Right.
I'm sorry. Amanda, mine did the same thing. So I just you have to manually put in the username and the ID that's in the email with the link. If that pops up where it says the meeting ID and the passcode from David this morning.
Okay.
Mhm.
Did you get that, Trisha?
I did.
Okay. Thank you,
You heard
Forrest.
that,
I
Tanya?
used the link. I used the link from Yapmo. Have her try that.
Or she said, try the link from Yapmo.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Stephanie Horn.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Good morning, Miss Kelly Larkin.
Yeah, I'm on the phone, but I'm on my laptop on the meeting. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to do that, Tanya.
Good morning, Tanya. Good morning, Melissa Dotson. Good morning, David Turk.
Morning.
I can see you, Tanya. Can you hear us? Just give me a thumbs up if everybody can hear me. Good morning, Amber.
Good morning. Sorry, I couldn't hear a while ago.
It's all good. That's why you jump on early so we can test the hearing and everything.
That's right. That's
Good
right.
morning,
Okay.
Wendy Bird. That's why I'm saying good morning to everybody. Not only that I just not greet everybody anyways, but say good morning so at least y'all know your speakers are working and you can hear me. Good morning again, Troy.
Good morning. How is everybody?
Good, how are you?
Beautiful spring morning. Spring break for some. Everybody hear me okay?
That's what we've been testing. I've been telling everybody
Yes,
good
sir.
morning as they come on. Make sure their sound's working.
All right. So who all we got on? Everybody at Orange Beach. Hey. Orange Beach office, can you hear me? Hey. All right. Mobile office, can you hear me? Hey. Eastern Shore office. Even though I don't see you yet. There you are. Yay. Fairhope office. I don't see you, but I'll find you in a second. Fairhope office.
They're under Fairhope admin.
Oh, did I miss it?
There it is. She just turned her camera on.
Hey. Where? Oh, there we are. Okay. Now I see them. Yay. Gulf Shores. Hey.
Shores. Tilt your camera down a little bit.
Me?
I was talking about Jeff Shores. I get like eyes of some and can barely see all of them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there we go.
Now I can see people.
Much better. Much better. All right. Let's start off with a couple gratitudes. Anybody want to share some gratitudes? Come on. We got an amazing spring morning. Nobody's got with weather that's Chamber of Commerce weather. Nobody's got a gratitude.
I have a gratitude. I am very thankful that I have got an insulin pump back as of a couple of days ago, and it's working brilliantly like a computer.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. That Fran?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Fran.
Hey.
Love it. Great gratitude. Who else?
Troy, my son
Yes.
is flying home from London for Mother's Day weekend. It'll be the first time I've seen him since Thanksgiving.
Oh, wow. Awesome. That's a long way for a boy to be away for mom's cooking. Long time. But an easy ride back home to get some home cooking. Love it. Who else? Two more. Come on, anything. Got a pretty special week this week. I don't know if that matters.
Hey Troy, good morning. It's
Good morning.
Tony.
Hey, Tony.
I'm grateful just to be surrounded by people that uplift me and just make me strive to be better. And just grateful for everybody here and on the team.
Yeah, great gratitude. No doubt. We are certainly always better when we hang around people that are uplifting and supportive. And that is a big reason for I think all the level of achievement that we've all been able to accomplish is helping each other. So awesome. Love it. One more. Anyone? Anyone?
Come on, somebody say Happy Easter. Grateful for it to be Easter Sunday weekend.
That's right.
Happy
Long
Easter.
time coming.
Happy
I'm
Absolutely.
grateful for this weather that we've been having. It's been amazing. This is my favorite time of year, especially when we have 70 degrees and sunny. And also for the celebration of another year. My dad just had his 82nd birthday.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Great gratitudes. All right. Well, would anyone like to say a prayer and then we'll get started? Opening prayer, anybody? All right. Bow your heads if you will, and I'll say it. Dear Lord, we just come to you with grateful hearts, with hearts of thankfulness and grace, and we thank you, Lord, for sending your Son to die on the cross for our sins and raising him 3 days later, and we celebrate that this week, and we are so very blessed to be able to be in a country where we are so free to be able to celebrate our religions, and we thank you for each and every day that we get to go and serve our community and serve each other and help and uplift each other. Lord, we just I thank you for each person that's on this call, for all those within our Bellator family, and for the opportunities we get to go out and to help people in our community to hopefully achieve the American dream and help them in their journey from one place to another. Lord, I thank you for all the families that we represent. I ask for safe travels over this holiday weekend and for safe return for next week for all those in spring break. And Lord, we offer all this up in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Cool. All right. Can I show my screen?
You should be able to.
All right, cool. Can you see that?
Yes.
Cool. All right. So purpose of the, first of all, thank you all. I know we've got spring break this week, obviously Easter week, and unfortunately, just the only time that we could get all this put together and have this review before April 18th, which we were certainly not in control of the date that all these new changes go into effect. So just in case you have no idea why you're at this meeting, there was a recent House Bill 230 that was passed, Alabama House Bill 230, which will now be referred to as the Alabama Act 2025-59. So if you hear those, they are talking about the same laws that were passed in Alabama last month. So we're going to, in this short time together, I hope to be able to get us in and out within an hour or less. We're going to talk about the changes that the bill has made, and also what the part of that involves the new Bellator Recad office policy. So we're going to talk a minute about that, and then we're going to go ahead and do our annual Recad review now, since we're going to be putting all this together, which means we will not have to do it in the month of November when we normally do our Thanksgiving Recad annual review, unless we just have such an overwhelming pushback that people want to do this again, which I'm sure we will. All right. So what changes the House Bill 230 had? Basically, it involves Recad, brokerage agreements, and referral agreements.
Hey, Troy, real quick, can you go down to one page? We're seeing 2 pages on your screen and zoom in so make sure everybody can see. Thank you.
How about that?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So some things that, and we're going to send out some follow-up information too. So if you have additional questions or whatever, and if you haven't already been to the Alabama Real Estate or the AAR, Alabama Association of Realtors website, they've got a page directly, one page that's basically a total review of all of this information. And there's at least 2 or 3 videos that are really good that, oh goodness, what's her name? Jamie Kessler. I know Annette has a good relationship with her, but Jamie did a good job in doing the review of all this. So I'm going to go through. If you have questions while I'm going through this, please feel free to speak up and ask the questions. Brokers, if you have anything that I skip over that you think I should add, feel free to chime in as well. So just involving Recad, hopefully all of you know, and I want to make this statement at first too, that this should not be a big deal at all. This should be basically for you, those of you that understood and obviously have been doing business for the last since August 17th. If you continue to do business like you've been doing, you'll remain in compliance. If you want to make some changes, or there will be opportunity to make some changes here, you basically are just getting an additional option as what this change will effectively mean to you. And ultimately what it is the Recad disclosure. That will continue to be part of what we have to do when we meet. Primarily it's probably more related to buyers, but obviously it's for either buyers or sellers. When we're in first contact with a consumer, we're going to talk to them about the generality of whatever they're looking for. And when we do that, before we ever exchange any type of confidential information or brokerage services, part of what we're going to have to do is provide them with the Recad disclosure. Okay. No different than what you've used for the last however long you've been in the business, which is actually. This document, just to make sure everybody's clear. Same document, no changes, exactly what we've been using, as long as you've been with Bellator for sure and beyond that. So with that being said, the changes, and you're going to do that whenever you meet with them and before you ever exchange any type of confidential information with them, or any type of broker services are provided, which would include showing property. So one thing that will change though is we're going to be adding, so this House Bill 230 basically created a additional part of the Recad, which is we also have to disclose our individual office policy. So as a company, we have a Recad policy. So you've got the generalized disclosure form that I just showed you, plus now the Bellator office policy will have to be part of that initial package that you present to the buyers or sellers before you proceed within in discussions with them with any, before any kind of confidential information is disclosed or any type of brokerage services are provided. I.e., probably the biggest change for some is prior to this, right now, since August 17th, to be in compliance with NAR guidelines and rules. Since the settlement, you are required to have an agency agreement, or called in here a brokerage agreement. So buyer having your buyer compensation and buyer services agreement signed. That no longer is required. So you can show them property, you can show an initial consumer properties with only having them been disclosed or provided the Recad disclosure and office policy. Does that make sense now? Anyone? I can't see anyone, but okay.
Yes.
Okay, good deal. I had to minimize the screen so I can only see a couple of people and a couple offices. That's real tiny. We have we have uploaded into .loop, and also if it's not already, it probably will be in the next day or so on the agent docs, where this document. So as I said earlier, one of the changes is that basically this single page document has now become a 3-page document, which could be done basically on 2 sheets of paper, front and back on the office policy, which is the Bellator office policy. And if you're asking, what's the difference between Recad disclosure and Recad office policy? The difference is this is what all services that are provided in the state of Alabama, this is what a consumer is allowed to, a brokerage is allowed to provide to a consumer in the state of Alabama. This is the services that Bellator provides. One of the changes that we had to make as part of the House Bill 230 is we had to add compensation and how we're paid as part of our office policy, and along with that, the brokerage services that we offer. So similar to what or basically the same as what we've always offered, which is single agency, limited consensual dual agency, and transaction brokerage. We have never offered sub-agency, and will not do that now as well. Then the requirements in our office policy also include that we're going to be providing this at the time of initial contact with a buyer or seller before we provide them with, or before they provide us with any type of confidential information, or provide them any kind of brokerage services. So we're talking about a policy that we're basically saying that we're going to disclose and provide to the consumer. We're also added how we're paid. And that was probably the biggest change. Before you signed this when we did our annual Recad review, you basically signed our office Recad policy. But before we weren't required, and we did not have offers of compensation and how that was done. But now that's part of the change. So for the sellers, we're offering that we will charge either a percentage or of the sales price, or a percentage of the sales price and a flat fee to market their property. And the specific amounts would be detailed within the listing agreement. So this is just a general statement. The same for the buyers, that we would be charging them a percentage or a percentage plus a flat fee to purchase, property, and that all of the outline for the specifics will be within the buyer compensation agreement that they would sign prior to writing an offer, or you assisting them with writing an offer. And then obviously the same before we would list the property, the sellers would be signing a listing authority with us. So those are the two changes. The change reaffirms that a buyer's agency agreement would be signed before writing an offer or listing a property, but you should have been doing that before as far as our office policy. So there really should be no change for you. It's just reaffirming that would have to be done as law now. So any change or any questions so far with what I've reviewed? So basically this single document will become a 3-page document, and that's what you're going to be presenting to consumers, buyers or sellers before you show them property or have them disclose any type of confidential information. That's the biggest difference. You didn't have to do anything other than now you're going to, have a 3-page document rather than a 1-page document. The difference too, I don't know if anyone has ever spent any time reading this stuff, but whenever you're presenting this personally, and this is law is we have to present it to them, and we ask them to sign it. They are still not required to sign it. That's being the consumer. Consumers are not required to sign. We're in full compliance so long as we've provided them a copy and reviewed that with them. So I just want to remind you too, you'll want to probably have a copy of this. I would say easiest thing would be to have a copy downloaded to your phone. Also keep a couple copies, paper copies in a folder in your car if you're showing property. Obviously, whenever you're going to do a listing presentation, it should certainly be part of your listing presentation and be the very first form, because this would be needed to be the first thing that you review with a potential seller. And then you could also have it downloaded to your phone too, to be able to send an email. You do not have to provide them a copy. If they elected to sign let's just say a handwritten, a paper version, obviously you can just take a picture of those and then text or email it to them. So you provide them a copy, but you're actually not required to provide them the same copy, the one that they actually signed, just a copy. Then one thing we added on this, at the very bottom, we did put a checkbox here, and this is within .loop, so that if a consumer says, I just really don't feel comfortable signing, all you've got to do is check the box and then put the date, and then send it to them unsigned, and then that gives you basically proof that that you're now in compliance by providing them a copy of it. It
Troy,
also,
we have a question asking
Sure.
if current buyers and sellers will have to sign the new one, or is the old one still good?
I'll say this, if you're working with someone and they have not signed a agency agreement, also called a brokerage agreement, that's basically the brokerage services agreement and compensation agreement. If they have not signed that, or a listing agreement, I would go ahead and get them to sign this version. If just for safety's sake, I would say it would probably be best if you have receipt that let's say you started working with them today, and you provided them the single copy that we've had for in our systems for the last whatever 10 years. Then you're in compliance. That's fine. But I would say after today, we'll have all this available. I'd say after today, just go ahead and start utilizing this new form. Matter of fact, I'm going to have them remove the old version after today as well. So, but you would not have to go back. So anybody that's under contract, has pending contracts that you've already listed their property, whatever, and they've signed the old Recad disclosure, that you do not need to go back and redo this. I want to reiterate, no reason we can start using this form as of today, and that's what we'll plan on doing. But you 100% have to be in. So if you just happen to have a bunch of old copies of the single version in your vehicle and you're showing property today, yes, that's fine. It's not the end of the world. But I by the 18th, you absolutely by law have to be providing them not only the old real estate Recad disclosure, but also the office policy that we're providing. Did that answer the question? I can't see anyone, but
It answered my question. Thank you.
okay. All right. Any other questions on any of this?
Hey, Troy.
Mhm.
Just to remind, we're a green office and it's super easy to host an in-person signing. So if you get somewhere and you don't have a copy of that document, you can go into Dotloop and complete it in a second and host an in-person signing in about 3 seconds, and you'll have it signed on the spot and in the moment. So don't ever let the fact that you don't have one with you stop you from complying.
Yeah, no, great point. It is now in Dotloop now, right, Amanda? It's set in there yeah, that's right. We looked at this morning. So it's in there. So you'd be able to do that fairly easily. And I will let your brokers, or maybe Annette can give a separate course on how easy it is to do the version she just talked about. So we're also going to maybe try to find another option for doing that that I found out about last night, but doesn't matter right now. Main thing is you're 100% in compliance so long as you've reviewed it with them and sent them a copy. You're 100% compliance, but it is always great if you can get them to sign it. All right. So that was probably the biggest change for most of you as far as what came from House Bill 230. We still, again, you have to be in compliance, or you're going to have a brokerage agreement. So a buyer's agency agreement or transaction broker agreement, either one, for buyers, and a listing agreement for sellers before you were to, either list their property or write an offer for them. Again, it's the way we've been practicing business, but evidently maybe there's some companies that didn't. I don't even know how you would do that, but evidently that was a factor that was a little bit of the law change. So one other is, again, shouldn't be a big change for you, but is all referral agreements are going to be required to be in writing. And that's part of this House bill. Here again, we have referral agreements within our agent docs and inside of Dotloop, so shouldn't be a problem. There's also one on the AAR website. If you wanted to go to it and use it, you can, use it, especially if you're dealing with somebody maybe that's in Birmingham or somewhere else and they're not familiar with it. But anyway, you just have to have one on any referral agreement, and that includes in-house too, in writing. Any questions about that?
No, sir.
All right. So this is a Q&A, and I was going to go through a couple of these because I thought it had some pretty good information, some kind of unique questions that, it's kind of like you just don't know until something comes up. Okay, so this one was what are my requirements for sale by owner properties? So on a for sale by owner, it's the same as for any other property. When you're working with a buyer, both the Recad brokerage services agreement and the office policy are required to be signed. No different there. And before, if you were to submit buyers or a purchase agreement for the for sale by owner, you would have to have more than likely a transaction brokerage agreement and already had the Recad and office policy signed. You also, just as a reminder, you also need to present an estimated closing cost with every counter offer that are made. I got that in another part of this agreement, but as a reminder, again, should be how you're doing business now. Hopefully you are, but if you're a listing agent, an offer comes in, you're preparing a estimated seller's net sheet for the seller on the offer amount. And then if the seller were to accept it, as written, then no further estimates have to be done. But if they want to counter it with, any terms for that agreement have to be up, that seller's estimated closing cost net sheet has to be updated and signed at whatever the new purchase price is, or new terms. Even if the purchase price remains the same, maybe there's additional closing costs, or something else that they're paying for, different type financing, whatever those terms may be, if related to finance changes, those would have to be updated and re-signed by the seller. Same thing with the buyer. If you're and seller too, multiple offers, each offer has to have its own estimated net sheet. And even after the fact, if they come back and someone, maybe after, let's say you've got the property, the listing under contract, and maybe after the due diligence for inspection is up, it's negotiated that they're going to, increase the amount that they pay in closing costs from $2,000 to $4,000. Again, terms change. You're going to need to make sure that you're writing an updated seller's net sheet for those new terms. Questions about that? All right, cool. I like it.
Okay, go.
Troy, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Well, great. Well, I guess the reason why the real estate commission and all these changes take place so often, we're trying to stay ahead of AI so they can't take over a real estate and do robots that's going to sell real estate, because all these changes will confuse AI. So it's job security for us. And
That's right. That's right. No way they could weave through this web. Was there a question, Sam, or just a statement? All right, I'll go with the statement. Are AAR forms, in compliance with these changes? Yes, all of them. All your forms from AA are certainly in compliance. Do these changes apply to only realtors? So those of us that are members of the National Association and our local boards who are realtors, yes, obviously we are affected by these law changes, but so are any licensees in the state of Alabama. So there are, a number of licensees who are not members of NAR or a local association, And they also have to comply with these things. Keep in mind too, this is a law change. So what we've been, how we've been doing business since August 17th was a rule from NAR that basically held us more in compliance after the lawsuit and the settlement agreement. So those changes were, part of that judicial change that we had to be in compliance. This now is an Alabama state law, which is why it had to go through the process in which it went through. And it supersedes a rule that NAR would put out. So just if there are any type of questions or, hey, what about still going? So, to speak directly to this change, before you were required, before you were to show a property, you would have to have to a buyer, you would have to have a buyer's agency and compensation agreement signed with that buyer before you could show them one property. And I know we've been working through that, and we're able to work around it and through it just with having a buyer consultation. But this rule basically allows you not to have to do that, have a buyer's agency agreement signed before you show them a property. But I will make this statement. I think all the brokers would agree. If you're meeting with a buyer and having a buyer consultation, like you should be, this really should just be part of that. I mean, your recad just be the first part. You're signing, they're now, after you review it and presenting it to them, a 3-page document, which includes the only thing new is our office policy. And then you're moving into what would hopefully be a buyer's agency agreement after you've communicated with them and talked to them about your value proposition and gone through the consultation. You want to do that for, business practice purposes, because otherwise you're putting someone in a car to go drive them around and show them properties where you have zero, agreement to get paid for doing these services. So I would always suggest continuing to do that before you show property. I think it's probably prudent, but I also know the practicality that sometimes somebody calls, they're in front of a house, maybe it's your listing, and they call and say, hey, we're here, we're in town for 4 more hours, could you show us this property? And maybe the consultation at the office is just not practical. So you go there and do that. Hopefully you can have that same consultation, there at the property, but at the very least, before you open that door, you're going to have presented them with the Recad disclosure and office policy that we just talked about. Then you can go in, show them property, and hopefully at that point be able to, build some rapport with them and show them the value that you bring in offering and representing them, and then get them to proceed with a buyer's agreement with you. Make sense? Hopefully that cleared any questions that maybe are all revolving around that. So we're going to provide the office policy in Recad. It's going to be one PDF. So anytime you get that document, it'll be 3 pages long. So, and that will be in Agent Docs and in .loop, just like, where you find all of your other documents. We've already done the changes to the thing, qualifying brokerage, disclosure office policy. So we're doing the compliance review now. Yes, they wanted, there was a question, but I got clarification. We're good on the second form. Okay, so this is one I think it's relevant. Can I add the information that's required to my agency disclosure office policy to my brokerage agreement to avoid having separate, to give a copy of agency disclosure office policy? And no, but what we're doing is just combining. It's 2 forms. It just is in one PDF so that you don't forget, so that you don't forget whenever you're sending it to them or printing it out, that you don't forget that it's basically, there's still 2 documents, but it's a total of 3 pages. And they're individually titled and they're individually marked for signatures, in case someone asked. I'm sure plenty of people will. Okay, here's one. The other thing is, okay, so you're holding an open house. Anyone that walks into the open house, are you required to give them a Recad disclosure and office policy? And the answer is no. And I did also find out that that includes model homes. So you would not have to do that. I don't think it's a bad policy if you're, especially if you're wanting to work with them, to go ahead and do that. It's not a big deal. Again, you're in compliance as long as you give that to them and review it with them briefly before they disclose any type of confidential information. You're in compliance, and that still applies. So if you get into a conversation in an open house or in a model home, if they start talking to you or asking you questions about finance, or, hey, we're looking at maybe building and we're looking for builders. I mean, some confidential, information, just err on the side of caution and go ahead and present that with them and say, hey, before we get too far down the road, I want to, make mention of this. This is a state requirement that I disclose to you and provide you a copy of. Give it to them and then proceed with the conversation wherever it's going. That makes sense? Hopefully it did. All right. Oh, can you present this electronically? Yes. Am I required to maintain a copy of the Recad brokerage services form and agency disclosure to each consumer I work with? Yes. Again, just like we're doing now. Even if you present it to someone and they say, hey, I'm just not comfortable signing anything, even though it says, we did add that to this, to the policy, just so you're aware of it. Actually, it says on here, this is not an agency agreement. By signing below, you only acknowledge, is the acknowledgement of a receipt. So hopefully that helps. Again, you're still in 100% compliance, whether they sign it or not, so long as you're providing them with a copy and presenting it to them. Right. Wrong version. Can a written brokerage agreement be part of the purchase agreement? No, I think that was a dumb question, but it's 2 separate agreements. The purchase agreement has nothing to do with your buyer agency services you're providing. And it has to be done ahead of time anyway. Does the new law mean that I can't enter into a brokerage agreement with a buyer before a tour at some point before I help them submit an offer? No, again, that's just what I just reviewed. You can still do it ahead of time. That's no issue at all. This law was just basically saying that, if you're not forced to compel someone to sign a contractual agreement with you for brokerage services just to go tour, a property or 2 for the day. That was I think the main crux behind that primary part of this law change. Can my brokerage have a policy that we do not render any type of brokerage services unless we have written brokerage agreement in place? Absolutely, you can, and that's why, basically what I was just saying is if you're continuing to do business as you ideally should be, where you're sitting down with a buyer, having a buyer consultation, or meeting with a seller, initially to view their property and go over your listing presentation, then you're going to be doing this as part of that. So there's really no change to you. So it's basically business as usual. If you work with an investor, okay, this is good. Investor buyer who frequently buys properties, do I have to sign a separate buyer agreement every time we submit an offer? And it says it depends. If you have a buyer's agreement, including language that it applies with all real property purchases that occur while the agreement is active, then you don't. So basically, if you get, and that is another change in here, that I can't believe the question hadn't come up, but, so even for commercial, if you're working with an entity, you still have to have a transaction broker agreement, single agent or limited consensual dual. You're going to have one of those agreements, in place before you write an offer, or obviously a listing agreement for the sellers before you list their property. I guess some people operate where they didn't do that, and it was still legal. I didn't even realize it wasn't legal, but evidently it was. So, but now, or at least after April 18th, you will, it will be mandated that you have those agreements. One change for probably for commercial brokers or people working with investment or any type of entity, that change probably, that makes sense, because a lot of times you weren't getting a buyer's agency agreement signed with them prior to showing property and, pulling up information for them. But, that is something you'll have to do prior to making an offer for them now. Should I be using a tour showing agreement? No, we don't even offer that. Does a new law allow me to renegotiate a buyer agreement after it's already in place and allow for additional compensation that the seller and or seller's broker is offering? And the answer from AAR is no. You're allowed to amend your buyer agreement to provide for less compensation than you and the buyer originally agreed to, but you may only amend your buyer's agreement to provide for more compensation if you are also providing additional services. And if y'all remember, that was the reason on our compensation agreements that we offer. We have a separate part on our buyer agency agreement. I thought I had it pulled up. That well, I don't. Anyway, we have in there, especially if you're working in new construction and you're going to be working with a buyer that's going to be building a home, that is considerably more work than if you were, atypically showing property for 30 to 60 days, writing an offer, and, helping them obviously with the typical buyer agency services that we do in a normal existing home transaction. So that certainly, if you start out looking at resale and then end up doing new construction, that is certainly permissible. But you have to have a legitimate reason why you're doing that, not just, oh, well, this seller's offering more compensation, so I just want to increase my compensation agreement with the buyer, but no additional services are being offered. Does this new law eliminate a need for compensation agreements between brokers? No. The new law does not impact buyer compensation offers. So this is broker to broker, and I don't know how many of you are still using those or offering it. Whenever, an offer comes in on one of your listings, I know we had a lot of other brokerages that had no idea even what that was, or obviously they don't read things, but anyway, but you can certainly still do that, and there's no this doesn't affect that at all. So NAR made rules related to buyer agreements last fall. How does that House Bill 230 impact those? Changes to Alabama law superseded. That's what I talked about before. So Alabama, these new law changes we talked about supersede anything that NAR that's in direct correlation with this or contrast with this would so really the only thing probably is that you are required to have an brokerage services and compensation agreement signed before showing a property. That no longer is in effect, and so long as you have your Recad disclosure and office policy signed or reviewed. Oh, and then, yeah, last but not least, just having referral agreements to be signed. Okay. Any questions about the Q&A? Hopefully that covered some other things that have or have not come up. Anyone? I feel like I'm standing in my office just talking to myself. All right.
Crystal clear.
Awesome. All right. So just as one of these has is a new rule. The others have been in effect for, I don't know, a number of years, but based on some of the broker conversations I had, we felt like this would be good just to have a quick re-review. So existing Alabama Real Estate Commission rules, estimated closing statements. Again, this is what we talked about earlier. You need to make sure that you're continuing to do that for each change that you have, whether it's on the listing side or the buyer's side. Any change that's made on the financial front is going to need to have a new signed estimated cost to closing for either the buyer or the seller. I think there have been maybe some people that thought you only had to do it once or twice, or if you had one at 250 and one at 290, but you also had one in the middle at 260, you didn't have to do the 260. Now you got to do all three. Or even if sales price remains the same and you've got different closing costs being paid out or whatever, each time there's a change, you got to have a estimated closing cost. Again, I think we all know this. Hopefully you do. And this is just a review. Here's one that has changed though, and I wanted to make sure and bring this up. So this is as far as the qualifying broker in any type of display, whether it's flyers or signs or anything like that. Your maybe commercial signs. Basically the Alabama code 175-34-2736 A15 requires a salesperson or associate broker to display the name of the qualifying broker or company prominently in any advertising promoting a salesperson or qualified broker as a real estate agent. The word prominently, as used in that statutory provision, means use of font size that is equal to or larger in size than any other text or logo in the advertisement, and situated and sized for the purposes of gaining the attention of the consumers viewing the advertising. So basically, if you've got your own logo or team logo or whatever, and it's on anything, the Bellator logo's just got to be basically the same or equal size or larger than yours. So just make sure you're in compliance with that. I know marketing's been watching out for it. Disbursement of funds, again, no change here, just making sure, sometimes people get confused about this. I'm not sure why, but basically if there is earnest money that Bellator is holding, we're not allowed to disperse those funds until we've got a release and disbursement signed by both parties or all parties that are affiliated with the purchase agreement that's been effective. So keep that in mind. Never make the statement when you're writing an offer, that, hey, we'll, we can just get we can get your earnest money back if this doesn't work out. That's a dangerous statement because, and you can get it back so long as the seller signs the mutual release of the contract and disbursement of funds. So as a company, we have no rule. I mean, this is the role we play as just the keeper of those funds until the transaction decides on where the funds are distributed and dispersed. Any questions on that or the advertisement or estimated closing costs? Comments or suggestions, brokers? All right, last one I think is also fairly simple. It's been in effect, but actually I think maybe this was a change. It doesn't matter, but just so you know, it says in an application for temporary salesperson or original salesperson, broker, or reciprocal license, the license renewal shall include a full legal name of the applicant, meaning you. If you, the licensed real estate activity, if you are using or desire to use any name other than the full legal name, or using a shortened name that does not use the same letters in the same order or a portion of the full name, legal name, then the applicant shall include the nickname or assumed name on their application. Even, and here's the other part. So if your legal name is, John Michael Smith, and you use Big Bubba as your advertised name, you have to put on your license application, whatever I said, John Michael Smith, and include Big Bubba. And the reason for that is if someone has an issue with you, they want to be able to go to the real estate commission wants them to be able to go to their website and be able to pull up your license, one, to confirm that you're actively licensed, and two, if they want to file a complaint, they can do that. So you've got to have all those names, I guess 5 names, John Michael Smith and Big Bubba, if you want to use Big Bubba in any of your advertising. That would be signs, marketing materials, whatever. But both of those, you can't use just Big Bubba. All right. I think that was pretty well covered. Look at that, under an hour, 53 minutes, and logistics on now. We're going to have you sign the annual Recad acknowledgement that we did this, that you participated in this glorious event. Amanda, you want to tell them about WorkBright? And I guess I can pull up the last. So this is, you're going to get, you're going to be getting, if you attended this meeting, just via Teams, or if you came into the office, I think the admin have been taking names and sending that to Amanda, and Amanda's going to be issuing you basically Bellator Real Estate via WorkBright. You're going to get an email, and it won't say hi Troy. It's going to say hi whatever your name is, and you've been asked to submit a new version of the following form. So you're going to click on Agent Recad Update 2025. And it's going to take you to WorkBright, and you probably are going to have to sign in. And so you sign in, and you're going to sign your disclosure right here. Submit, and you're done. Cool. And then you're 100% in compliance for this year. Any questions? 1 hour of me talking. Anything else we want to talk about? Well, I'll just say this, the market continues to have a lot of activity. So I'm hoping you're seeing that in your own business, and you're taking advantage of it, because we all know that we got a short window here throughout this spring and summer months that we seem to see the most activity. So please let us know if there's anything we can do to help you be efficient or more effective in what you're doing. Anybody have any other comments or suggestions? Brokers, anything?
See some thumbs up going around.
Thumbs up. Damn.
Got some messages saying thank you.
Great meeting.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. Go forth
Very
and conquer.
informative.
Hope you all have a wonderful Easter weekend. Enjoy your time with family and friends and enjoy this wonderful weather. Thank you for joining me.
Thank
And
you,
Jesus
Troy.
lives.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Troy.
You're welcome.
Company calendar. That'd be done with the copyright.